So, hello, sorry for this problem, and I'm a little bit too late. So I'm Estelle Auberix, I'm an architect solution. I'm founder of Yokela, which is an agency specialized in digital innovation. I'm specialized in cloud, edge cloud, cybersecurity, and IoT. And in my hobby, I've got robot and quantum computing. As communities, I created Cloud City, which is a community to help to coach people to pass IT certification. I'm a co-founder of Azure, which is a user group, the French user group of Azure, and I'm also organizer member of AMS. You can follow me on the social network, on Twitter or LinkedIn. And I have no homonym, so there's only one Estelle Auberix in the world. So it's easier to find me again. Today we're going to talk about the Dynamics 365 fundamentals. So I'm going to present you the certification, then what are the skills required to be able to answer the exam, how to prepare the exam, which are the Microsoft offers in order to pass this exam for free, and some idea to go further after the exam. So Microsoft, the Dynamics 365 fundamentals, it's only one exam, and you're going to get the certification just after passing the exam. There's an evolution in this certification. So first it was the exam MB-900 till the end of last year of 2019. So from the beginning of last year's, it's still now MB-901. But it's going to be deprecated at the end of this June, the next June. And then from 1st July, you're going to have 2 exams in order to have the Dynamics 365 fundamental certification. You're going to have the MB-910 and the MB-920. So MB-910 is focused on the CRM features, and the MB-920 it's focused on the ERP feature. So it's your choice, because even if the exam MB-901 is going to be retired at the end of June, it's still available, and it's a good way to get this certification with only 1 exam instead of 2. And later in my presentation, you will get why it could be important to pass the exam before the end of June. So what's the difference between the content? Because it's 4 different exams. So MB-900 was focused on understanding Dynamics 365, understanding the cloud concept, and understanding the deployment and release. So it was really global, it was really general, the kind of question, and you will be able to find some all the questions of this exam in the free practice test platform, if you want. So currently, the exam MB-901 is focused on identify the Microsoft platform complement for Dynamics. That's a real focus about security, because for Microsoft, a lot of exam now, and especially fundamental exam, the security take a great place in this kind of exams. And the second point, it's how to describe artificial intelligence and mixed reality in Dynamics 365. So it's focused on Dynamics guides or Dynamics assets. And describes the model-driven apps. So that's the relation with the Power Platform. So never forget that Power Platform was at the origin created for Dynamics 365, or Dynamics and Dynamics 365. And then with the importance, the growing of the importance of the low code, the Power Platform is becoming an independent project, but at the beginning it was created for Dynamics 365. That's why there is a big importance of Power Platform and the concept related to Power Platform to Dynamics 365. And at the end, it's required to be able to describe the finance and operation app of Dynamics 365, because I don't know if you already work with Dynamics 365, but the module, I don't know if I can say one module because it's a lot of module. You can see that in Dynamics 365 you have an independent portal only for finance and operation apps. So that's why it's a whole chapter in the exam. Then after now, because it's already in beta, if you want to pass the next certification, MB-901 or MB-910 and 920, and you're going to be focused, but more on the capabilities of Dynamics 365. But it will be more in details, and as it is 2 exams, there's two times more chance to go deeper in the question and in the answer which are required. So the certification MB-901, for identify Microsoft platform complement for Dynamics, you will have to describe the integration capabilities with the cloud security. It's generally about Active Directory, or about how to manage the network. It's a lot about the security concept of that you can find in Microsoft 365, because never forget that Dynamics 365, Microsoft 365 are part of Azure, so the whole security is managed in Azure, and you will have sometimes some focus module like AIP to protect the data, but AIP was at the beginning in Azure, before being a module directly in the Microsoft 365 administration portal. So you will have to describe the benefits of the role-based security. It's really the concept of the OBAC or the MFA for the authentication. What is the business value of the Microsoft Cloud, because you will be able with Dynamics 365 to interact with some other product in Azure with Microsoft 365. So this is this kind of business values that you're going to be able to you're going to have to describe. You will have to be able to identify some use case of for the Power Platform in the Dynamics 365. So I'm going to show you some sample of question in order to image that in your mind, and how to describe the benefits of Microsoft Dataverse. So as the certification is going to be retired, Microsoft didn't change the whole term, and sometimes you will have you still have Microsoft Compute Data Serve rather than Data Serve, because it changed at the end of last year, if I well remember. So Microsoft didn't change, especially in the MS Learn module. So don't be you will have to make the switch in your mind, and just keep in mind that now the data of Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform, everything is managed in Microsoft Data Serve. And you will have also to describe the reporting capabilities and especially the interactions that you can create with Power BI. So this is a kind of question related to this section. So this is a real question of an exam. I extracted from a practice test. So the question could be, you are implementing Dynamics 365 customer service. Companies executives need to decide whether to put the data on premise or in the cloud. So you need to explain the data security benefits of the cloud. What should you communicate to the executive? So which answer do you want to give? As we don't have a lot of time, so maybe if you want to answer in the chat, you can, or you can keep it in your mind. And the right answer is yes. So because this is in the data serve, and data serve, all data are encrypted by default, and that is and it's also easier to back up it in the cloud. So, but the right answer is that because you didn't have the backup as an answer. So it's also when you I don't know if you already passed some exam of the term, you can have the right answer and be sure of the right answer. So do not hesitate, be confident, trust yourself, and give the right answer. But when you're not sure, or when you you don't know the answer, you can proceed by elimination. So sometimes, if in this kind of question your first thought was okay, it was about the backup, and you don't have any backup, you don't have the backup term in any answers. So just take the other keyword, and you will be able to find the right answer. That could be a way to succeed in the exam. The second part of the certification, it's not it's the questions are mixed in the exam, and just you don't have two questions of the first part, 6 questions of the second part. Everything is mixed, but to explain in this talk, it's easier to say in order. So second part, it's about the artificial intelligence and the mixed reality. So you will have to describe some use case for Dynamics 365 AI and some use case for the mixed reality. So this kind of question you can have about this section is: a manufacturer of industrial machine creates hands-on training for user. You need to recommend the technologies that overlay the machine with images while users work on the machine. Which technology should you recommend? So you can answer in the chat if you want, or keep in mind. So the right answer is mixed reality. Why? Because when you have the use case, that you have to overlay the machine with images. When you say images to overlay over the machine, that means you're going to put some image over the reality. So that's why it's mixed reality. And even if you don't know because maybe you want you were thinking about augmented reality, or maybe you don't know the real difference because between virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality. So the virtual reality is when you've got you've got a mask, and you're not aware about the outside world when you're in the virtual world. The mixed reality, it's when there's some interaction with the virtual images and the real world. And the augmented reality, it's when the images are virtual in the real world, but you don't have a real interaction. The images, it's like an animation. You know, this is like Pokemon Go, the game. You can see the little pets. You can interact with the pet, but when you interact with the pet, there's no interaction with the real environment. For example, when you pet, you move in from right to left. Even if there's something, there's an obstacle. The pet, the virtual pet, will react as there's no obstacle. But in the mixed reality, we will take the obstacle in the model. And for example, this is in the smart industry. We will create interaction only on a special area of the machine. So if you're not oriented in the right way to the machine, you won't have the information, and you have that in the Dynamics 365 guides or assist. That's the boss module which use the mixed reality. So the third part of the exam is about the model-driven. So you will have to describe the capabilities of Dynamics 365 sales, marketing, field service, and customer service. So in the MS Learn Pass learning, you will have in the MS Pass learning, you will have some examples, some explanation, and you will get some link to use cases or to testimonial of clients, which will make you easy to understand how you can implement that in your company, or maybe in your future profession. The kind of question you can have about this subject is a company uses Dynamics 365 sales and plans to implement Power Apps to perform various acts. Which Power Apps tools should you use to each scenario? To answer, select the appropriate option in the answer area. I put this example of question in order to show you that you have a lot of multiple choice question, but sometimes you also have this kind of question where you have multiple question choices in multiple scenarios. So when you have this kind of question, some people used to say, okay, if I answered, for example, Canvas app in the first scenario, I won't have to give this answer in the following scenario. No, sometimes you can have the same answer. It depends of the case. So do not think by elimination, by thinking, okay, so I already use this answer, so I won't have to use it. But in this case, the right answer are different answers for these different scenarios, but sometimes that's not different. So you will really have to think and to find the right answer. But for the exam, if you really don't know, take your chance and put something, some random thing if you want. It could be good, but I'm going to say it after. When you're training, never put a random answer, because you won't know if you already know the answer if you put it randomly, rather than if you really understand the mindset of the question. The last part of the exam is about the finance and operation apps, which is a really big part of the exam, because it's a big part of Dynamics 365. So you will have to describe the capabilities of Dynamics 365 Finance. Human resources. There's a lot of new features in human resources, and to be honest, when I passed the exam, I had no question about human resources. But in the learning path of Microsoft, there's a good part of human resources, because there's some interesting features about the following of learning of the collaborators. And maybe I say maybe, because everything is changing, and the question of the exam, I think that they are going to they regularly are changed, and I don't know really the period of the changing for the, but I think it's around once or twice per month, because as there's some practice test, and there are real questions which are out of the exam. Microsoft is asked to change them regularly, and moreover, it's also because the product is changing. There's some new features and with the evolution, and the exam is really near the evolution of the product. So when you think you saw that Microsoft is communicating a lot about some new feature, or some or about some special point of Dynamics 365, you can bet that in the exam, maybe not right today, but in 2 weeks or 1 month, the exam is going to have a lot of questions about a lot. some question about this feature point that Microsoft is focused on. So to describe the Dynamics 365 supply management and about commerce. So a sample of question of this kind of port is manufacturing. I'm sorry, I put already the answers. But if you use Dynamics 365 supply chain management, the company is working on a production order that will span several months. The company wants to produce purchase order at different intervals through the processes. So for this kind of answer, you have to know how Dynamics 365 supply chain is working. That is in order to show you that it's not okay to know only the feature of the project. You have to try to test the product in order to understand how it's works. That's why. So you can learn. There's a special portal for the MS Learn for Dynamics 365. So you can access to the path or to the module directly with the MS Learn portal. But you also have a portal for Dynamics 365. At the end of this session, I'm going to share you my slide, and all the links are in the slide. So you don't worry, you're going to have all the information about that. So in the portal, I really encourage you to go there because it's suitable instead of the MS portal or the classic MS portal, because you have a direct link to the virtual training days where you can find some webinars about Dynamics 365. You can you have a direct link to the Dynamics 365 community, and I'm pretty sure that my colleagues already talk about this portal. And you also have access to the Ignite session, and and a lot of Ignite sessions are about real use case or some enhanced lab, or how to the best practice to use the project. So that's why the Ignite sessions are really good for the Dynamics 365. So the rules to prepare the exam. I saw this morning that there was some session really focused on that. So I won't begin. I won't tell again this one. But for me, and that is my advice, the golden rules are: you have to be active. Don't be passive. Don't learn only by you reading the MS Learn. As soon as there is a lab, do the lab, and maybe do it several times if you want. It doesn't matter. Generally it's free, so do the lab. Be prepared for the webinar. What do I mean when I say be prepared for the webinars? Microsoft proposes a lot of webinars, and I'm often moderators with Microsoft on these webinars, and I can see that a lot of attendees are connected to the webinar without any knowledges of the project. So when the webinar is in half a day or in a day, it's generally really intense. There's a lot of information, and you can't memorize everything. And when the webinar is really heavy in information, in content, a lot of attendees are lost at the beginning, sometimes, or at the middle of the webinar. So it's really discouraging for the attendee. It's not and it's not very efficient because when you lost during a webinar, you lost your attention. Sometimes you're disconnected totally, or you stop the webinar, so you miss the end of the session, and this is not good for you for trusting yourself or your confidence. When you prepare the webinar, you work alone on the subject. Sometimes when you work alone, you have some questions and there's nobody around you to answer the question. And the webinar becomes a chance for you to get your answers. So you prepare your webinar. You sometimes, if you have time, do the learning path about for example, for the webinar about dynamics fundamentals, do the learning path about dynamics fundamentals. If you have some question, even if you do the learning path quickly, you have some initial or original knowledges about that. So when you're connected to the webinar, this is not new for you. It's going to be a repetition. So when this is a repetition, it's good for you to memorize. It's easier for you to memorize something that you already saw, that you already learned. And when you have some question in the webinar, there's always moderators or the instructor who's going to be able to answer your questions. So use the webinar like that, not like in the passive. In that's go back to the first rule. So be active and not passive, and especially for the webinar. And then the third rule, it's related to the first rule: practice, practice, practice. But I saw one of my colleagues giving the same advice. And why I say practice, even if for the fundamentals exam there's no lab, so you're going to have only questions. There's no lab, so no worries about the lab. Even if in your learning path you had some difficulties with some labs, don't worry, you won't have any labs in the fundamentals exams. Any fundamentals exams at lab. But why is it important to do the lab during the learning path? This is because there are some questions which have some, for example, you have to do this action. So you have to do that. So what are the 3 actions in the order that you will have to do? So if you never did the action, you will never be able to say what to do in which order. That's why. And I think it's also easier to memorize when you already did something. I used to say to my trainees that you can't learn how to drive when you're in the passenger side. That's why. So this is the same when you learn for your IT exam. So to prepare for your exam, you have to be methodic. So this is an example of learning method. For me, you have to know what is your best memory. Not every people has the same way to learn or same way to memorize. So I give you a link to a free memory test, just in order to have a better knowledge about yourself and to know if your memory is more visual. Maybe it's better to write or to draw the concept of the knowledge that you're going to learn, rather than if your memory it's audio. If you have a better memory, better audio memory, in this case, you will have to privilege the webinars or the video, the tutorial in video, because you will have to here to listen the information in order to memorize them. And a lot of people have a visual memory, and generally that's good to mix the both memory. And that's also some other kind of memory. Some people have good short time memory, and some other are better in the long time memory. So when you know what kind of memory you have, for you, it will be easier to learn after, because if you know that you have short time memory, this is not, you know that you're good, even if you prepare your exam maybe 2 weeks before the exam, you will have to maybe the day before or 2 days before to read again your notes, or maybe to learn again what you memorize, or what you forget 2 weeks ago. So that's why you have to be organized. I learned that one of my colleagues did that. So, but I think it's in the all action, in professional action, you have to be memorized. Take your notes or draw them if you prefer the visual learning method. And then when you have taken your notes, don't only read them. After taking the note, read them and summarize them, because when you summarize your note, you're going to synthesize the information and to highlight the important information. And at the end, when you summarize once and the second times and the third times, at the third times you will have the main information that you have to memorize or to keep in your mind. That's why. The practice test. What is important, I told it quickly at the beginning. Do your test honestly. You are alone when you do your practice test. So don't be afraid to fail. It's now. It's big. It's when you do a practice test that you have to fail. If you fail during the practice test, you will eliminate the chances to fail during the exam. And especially when you do the first test. So when this is the first test, do not answer randomly. Let the answer blank, like you don't know the answer, because in this way you will be able to know that, okay, this is a leak in my knowledge, I have to go back to this point. But if you answer randomly, you won't be sure that you totally assimilate the information or not. So in this case, for the first test, sometimes I pass the first test without any revision, any learn, just in order to check what are my knowledge before learning the subject. And with the first test, I'm going to see the result and say, okay, so this point, I totally don't know anything about that. This point, okay, so I know that, so I can trust myself because I already manage this point. That's why this, and in this way, you will be able to be focused on your weakness rather than on your strengths. I know that it's comfortable to work on your strengths, but that's not really efficient for the exam, because you have to level down your weakness. So when you analyze your test results, you go back to your note, you check the point relative to your weakness, and you work on this weakness. Then you take again the test, and you're going to see if you find the hole in your knowledges or not. And I think it's a good way. I test that, and since December, I passed 6 exams, and I succeeded all at the first time. So I think it's not a bad advice. So for the practice test, there's a lot of website, but I focus on 2 because don't waste your time to test everything, because you're going to have the same information at the end. So I really like exam topics. Sometimes it's a little painful because you have a lot of captcha, and I think this is a waste of time. But when you don't pay, you lost your time generally. So exam topic is good. There's a link in the presentation, so you will be able to click on the word and you're going to be able to read the exam lab. It's also good because with exam lab you can download some PDF. Instead of in the exam topic, you will have to consult the question and the answer online. So when you have a PDF, and if you are in travel, or you can check your PDF more easily. The official practice test is MeasureUp. You can buy the MeasureUp test when you register through Pearson, if I well remember. And there's also Geometrics. So what they are official because Microsoft are selling this test, but sometimes be aware that I saw some tests with wrong answers. So don't learn the answers by heart. Always think and check if the answer is correct or not. Generally, it's correct, but I saw some wrong answers. So when people only learn the test and the answer, and when they work the exam like that, and say, okay, so I'm going to work only the test, so I'm going to know all questions, all answers, and I'm going to pass the exam. Yes, maybe you will succeed like that, but generally I think that the most question I had when I did, it was something like 60% of the question that I had in the exam was already in the practice test I did before. 60%, even if you have all correct answers, that's not enough to get to pass the exam. You need to have 70%. So that means that you need to learn, and because and it's also, if you're lucky, because you have the whole right answer for the 60%. The Microsoft offers, so you can pass MB-901 for free, but it's going to be the last time. From the beginning of the years, I used to see between 2 and 6 webinars per month, which were eligible to have a free voucher. But I checked yesterday, and it was only 2 webinars. And the first one, that's why I give you only one link. The first one is already closed. The registration are already closed. So I'm really, really sorry, because at the beginning of March, Microsoft launched a communication about changing learning paths of Dynamics 365 about the new certification, the new exam, which are going to, which are already launched in beta version and are going to be official and in general availability at the beginning of June. So from this month, and especially from May, all webinars are going to change, and they are going to focus on Dynamics Commerce or Dynamics, each module of Dynamics, and they won't be eligible for a voucher. That's why if you want or if you need to have the Dynamics 365 fundamentals, I really encourage you to register for this webinar. It's the last one. It will be in Spanish version, but with English subtitle. Maybe they are going to talk in English. I really don't know, because the registration page is written in Spanish. But don't worry. If you want the voucher, register for this webinar. Connect you to the webinar. Even if you don't understand what's happened, you just you can listen or you can do your MS Learn instead at the same time. And after the both, it's it's 4 hours per day, so two afternoon. After the both afternoon, you're going to have the voucher in your certification dashboard, and when you're going to register with Pearson, you're going to have your voucher. But this is the last date, the last opportunity, and I really bet that won't be some others, because Microsoft is going to retire this exam. When you have the webinar, you're going to have the voucher maybe 2 or 3 days at the end of the webinars, and you will have till the end of June, because don't forget that after the exam is going to be retired, you're going to have till the end of June to pass the exam. So I think that we are in the middle of April. It depends of the knowledge that you already have, but it could be okay for you to pass and succeed the exam for free like that. So to go further, there's some challenge. It's still the Ignite challenge. It's over, but there's still the 30 days to learn challenge, which can give you a 50% off on eligible exams. So I'm sorry, there's no exam about Dynamics 365, but there's the exam about Power Platform. As Power Platform is related to Dynamics 365, maybe you could be interested about that. And don't forget to check the blog MS, the blog MS Learn, because there's some each time Microsoft is launching a new certification. It will be in beta version, and you have the opportunity to pass the beta version with 80% off of the price. So that makes the certification in euro. I don't know where you are in the world, but in euro it's something like less than 40 euro rather than almost 200 euros. So that's why I think it's pretty interesting. But what you I don't know if some colleagues explained you before, but when you pass your certification in beta version, you won't have the result immediately. You will have to wait sometimes 1 week or 2 weeks after the exam. So if you have any question, I'm sorry that I can see the time. If you have any question, do not hesitate. Do not hesitate to contact me later through the social network. I will be happy to help you or to answer you if you have anything.